not running for office now, so I get to freely speak. And to speak a little bit about some of the facts concerning the Second Amendment in this country and the condition we're currently in. We begin with a couple of facts that are a little bit difficult for Americans to swallow. And those are what's called the Arab Spring.
What's up with
the
that?
Arab Spring was brought to you by the State Department. The State Department, it actually began in April of 2009 when Barack Obama visited Cairo and gave a speech extolling the virtues of the Quran. He greeted them in Arabic. He invited the leadership of the Muslim Brotherhood to that meeting. And at the end of that meeting, he told them in Arabic, "I am one of you." Now that's an interesting statement because the Muslim Brotherhood is an organization formed in 1928 whose goal is to reinstate the Ottoman Empire and to essentially assert Islamic jihad all over the world. Michelle Bachmann wrote a letter last year signed by 5 other senators demanding information from the National Intelligence Director as to why there were members of the Muslim Brotherhood in the White House.
That's right!
The Egyptian press 2 months ago released 6 names of high Muslim Brotherhood members that are working for the Obama administration, including Ali Khan, who is about to take the #1 spot in Homeland Security, or the #2 spot in Homeland Security. So the question is, when Obama said, "I am one of you," what did he mean? I am a Muslim? I am an Arab? Or I am Muslim Brotherhood? It's a question. But now let's see what the fruit of that poisonous tree is. After we agitated the events in Tunisia and caused the disruption and anarchy to break out in Tunisia, it spilled over into the nation of Libya. Libya had not been at war with the United States or had engaged in any terrorism against the United States since the Lockerbie bombing in the 80s. And in fact, they were trying to become a willing partner in the Partnership of Nations, had renounced their WMDs, and were opening social programs throughout Libya. This was insufficient for Obama, who began funding Al-Qaeda directly with American tax dollars. Now, Al-Qaeda, as you know, is on the American terrorist watch list, as is the Libyan Islamic Fighting Group, the LIFG, who was run by Benghazi, who was also funded by the United States, as was Sharia, who's run by Al-Qumu, who was also funded by the United States, as was Islamia Jihad, the organization that was responsible, quote unquote, for security in Benghazi, that was also funded by the United States. Now, how much funding went into this operation? 20,000 tons of arms were delivered to Al-Qaeda with American tax dollars. Now, my friends, that is an act of overt treason. You are aiding and abetting known enemies of the United States at times of war. What was the result of funding Sharia, Islamic Jihad, Islamia Jihad, the Libyan Islamic Fighting Group, and Sharia? The end result was they assassinated and attacked the equivalent of a 4-star general, Ambassador Chris Stevens. And during that attack lasted for 7 hours. There was a drone overhead immediately. The White House Situation Room watched the attack happen, and 3 separate times, Obama ordered Americans to stand down and not defend the ambassador. He ordered the CIA to stand down, he ordered General Ham to stand the Army down, and he ordered Admiral Gouet to stand the Navy down. There was a C-130 less than an hour away. He refused to deploy it. So who is responsible for the death of Ambassador Stevens, and why did he die? Well, guess what? Guess where those weapons are? And what kind of weapons are we talking about? How about 20,000 shoulder-held missiles capable of taking down commercial jet airliners? Those will be operative for the next 20 years in the hands of Al-Qaeda. They've made their way into the Gaza Strip in the hands of Hamas. They've made their way into Syria. In fact, on the American tax dollar, we imported Al-Qumu and 60 members of Al-Qaeda into Syria to do agitation on our behalf in Syria, which, by the way, is an international war crime. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up is because you didn't see Mr. Obama asking for a background check on Al-Qaeda, did you?
No!
There was no background check. There was no psychiatric check. He just sent 20,000 tons of highly volatile weapons to known enemies of the United States, and then he comes back to us and says, "You disarm." Here's what I say to Mr. Obama. You disarm. We're not going to disarm. You disarm. Now, the Second Amendment is not just a fundamental right enshrined in American liberty. It is essential Americanism. If you weren't born in America, like Mr. Obama, you don't understand things essentially American. One wonders if he ever played baseball or ate apple pie. It is a fact that he doesn't understand the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment, what is so critical about the Second Amendment is this. We are the last bastion of sovereignty of the people on earth.
Yeah.
There is no other place you're going to go. Come on, name to me the country where you can go, where you have sovereignty of the people, whose constitution begins with we the people, whose government is expressly designed to govern at the consent of the people, on behalf of the people, government of the people, by the people, and for the people.
That's right. Yeah.
Lincoln said that government shall not perish from the United States, shall not perish from this earth, but it will only not perish when we stand vigilant before it. Now, an attack on the Second Amendment is in itself an act of treason. It's an act of treason for a legislature to say, we're thinking about taking away your Second Amendment rights. That's treason. How dare you come to American people and say, I'm going to walk right on your most fundamental right that protects you from the rise of tyranny. How dare you?
How dare you?
Impeach
It
them.
doesn't happen. And so the reality is this. We're now at a point, and I think the tide has turned, frankly. This tyrant wannabe who signed 9,000 executive orders, a federal court finally said, hey, guess what? Your appointments are illegal.
That's right.
You know, the federal court, John Roberts, should have told Obama that his health care was illegal.
That's right.
But in a conspicuous act of cowardice, he backed down.
Yes, he did.
Now he needs to step down. Leave the bench, John Roberts, and leave it in shame knowing that you walked away from your country.
That's right.
And so I can tell you that where the Second Amendment is concerned and where the right to bear arms is concerned, let's have a good discussion, shall we? The AR-15 to 223, it's a great piece. Very accurate, 2,300 feet per second. No recoil. People say, why do you need a 30-round clip? Okay, let's take a look at this. If you have one guy come into your house,
What's a
and he
30-round
breaks
clip?
in, and you want to shoot back, okay, maybe you can do it with 4 or 5 rounds if you're a good shot. What if you miss? You might need more. What if it's more than one? And that's an issue. You know, when you talk about taking away firearms, who are the first people that get hurt? Well, number one is a young woman who's being stalked by a guy who has no respect for the law.
Or women.
You know, you got a young woman who's 5'2", 90 pounds soaking wet, and she's got a boyfriend who's 6'1", 225. And he doesn't like the fact that she's breaking up with him. You know what? There's an instant equalization with a snub-nosed 38 in the purse. That right needs to be protected. The right to be on the street when somebody is advancing against you inordinately. Yeah, you want to have a peace, you want to know how to use it. But more importantly, and most importantly, there is a push inside this federal government that has enacted the National Defense Authorization Act that allows for the unlimited detention of American citizens without arrest, without probable cause, without a right to a lawyer, and without a writ of habeas corpus. You can be removed to a military base and shipped overseas and nobody hears another word about you. And no right to a hearing, nothing. And our members of Congress from this state voted for that bill. Recently, Mr. Obama, in a spirit of being a public servant on behalf of all Americans, has deployed 2,000 drones against the United States of America. comitatus in 7 cities and has deployed Black Hawk helicopters over Houston, over Miami, over St. Louis, over Denver, over Chicago. Recently, the Black Hawk helicopters that were deployed in Miami used live ammunition. That is an act of war, and it's a violation of posse comitatus, and it's an act of treason, and it's an international war crime.
Impeach him!
Impeach him!
We can call it, I remember, back during the George Bush days, this whole country was willing to impeach Bush for waterboarding.
Right.
Huh.
Right? Abu Ghraib was an offense so huge
Yeah, I swear.
that militant, warmongering George Bush needed to be impeached. The very same people that marched on D.C. screaming, "Where are you now?
Yeah. Where are you?
Where are you now?" Our president is at war in more nations right now than Adolf Hitler was in 1939.
That's right. That's right.
Did he get approval from Congress to violate the War Powers Act in Libya? No. Tunisia? No. Egypt? No. Somalia? No. Sudan? No. Yemen? No. Bahrain? No. Syria? No. Jordan? No.
No.
This is our condition. So what I say to you is this. The Second Amendment is inviolate. Congress shall make no law offending it, and we have a duty to stand by it.
Yes, we do. Yes,
It is an essential freedom, and let us not lose it.
that's right.
Thank you.
That's right.